I'm a big fan of this movie,
Okay,
the
great.
series, and one thing that I really liked about the sequel was that Eggsy has his safety net completely pulled
Yeah.
from him. Like everything that he would count on, depend on, is gone. He loses almost everything
Yes.
in his life. So did that starting point for your character kind of cause you to reevaluate the role a little bit, or?
Yeah. That's a really cool question. I think what's really great about that idea is it completely levels the playing field again, because to some extent he attains what he needs to attain in the first one, which is a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, an outlet for all of these incredible skills he has that aren't, getting into fights and stealing cars. So at the start of the sequel, you need another journey for him to go on. And so Matthew went for this very extreme thing of just completely obliterating Kingsman. It's a great idea because, as you very rightly say, it completely removes all of his foundations and systems for sort of emotional support. But yes, in terms of whether I reevaluated the character, I don't know really. I don't know. I think more so in terms of everything. In the first movie, everything's about him pursuing things for his to find his own path, whereas in this movie it's all about his girlfriend, trying to do right by her, but also fulfill his obligations as a Kingsman agent and his duties to save the day.
Yeah. There's also a little bit of a revenge plot too, because his friends die, he loses JB.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why. Without giving too much away, the last act of the movie, you've seen it, right?
Yes.
The last act of the movie, something happens just before Colin and I start, kicking ass. That really gives it an emotional charge, I think. It creates this huge well of feeling that drives us. There's a very cool moment where, just before we go into that action sequence, you see Colin and I, it's cut in one of the trailers, you just see Colin and I go really dead behind the eyes. And I love that moment because I think where a lot of action movies fail is that they don't have characters you care about, and they don't have characters that really are feeling things and that you're invested in. It's all action. Whereas in that moment, right before you get the action, you've got two characters who are really hurt and really angry and really want to shit up.
Yeah, there's no peaks and valleys. It's
exactly,
just a constant, action. It gets boring. Before we wrap up, I'd like to talk a little bit about your relationship with Harry and this, that Eggsy's relationship with Harry, because, in one aspect, he gets his father figure back, but he's not the same guy.
No.
And there's a journey. I kind of got, maybe it's just me reading into it, but I almost got like a son dealing with a father, dealing with dementia. Or something to it. That there's a road to recovery that he has to take.
It's funny. I'm reading this really cool comic. Sorry to interrupt your question. I'm reading this really cool comic at the moment called God Country. It's brand new and it's about this guy. It's about a guy out in Texas who has Alzheimer's and he's being violent towards his family. And then the gods send him a sword, and when he holds it, he can remember everything.
Oh, wow.
You've got to read it. I'm reading it.
No,
it's
that's
really
great.
cool.
What's it called again?
God Country.
God Country.
It's a great graphic novel. Anyway, sorry.
No, but that's just, is that something that you talked with Colin about? Like,
I
how
think
that relationship has shifted?
Well, one thing that is very interesting, I think really brilliant about what Colin does is that it kind of infantilizes Colin. He becomes very, 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 very boyish.
Yeah, your roles switch a little bit.
And I kind of become dad, which, feels appropriate. I'm a couple of years old, a bit wiser now. I think I've got 3 more facial hairs. So, yeah, it's a nice role reversal. It's a nice switch. And obviously Colin has to go through what I go through in the first film to remember who he is, which is a really nice switch of the dice. But yeah, that relationship for me is absolutely the heart of Kingsman, and Harry and Eggsy, and also Merlin. The strength of feeling between this. Mark calls us a sort of dysfunctional family, and I really like that. And obviously that's a real trial for them, Harry's mental state. But all of that loads up the last act really, and makes it all the more charged.